the video and I hear that it's it's pretty disturbing. It's about facilities that are being built as concentration camps for dissidents by their bids by the U.S. government right now for detention centers in all 50 states. And if you watch my other videos, I had told you that this was the plan. The original plan was for Obama to set up the United States for some type of situation. And then once that situation happened, what was going to happen was gun rights were going to be taken away. People were going to be rounded up and draconian laws were going to be instituted. Obama was basically setting this up for Hillary Clinton. I've said it in my past videos. And that's what this video talks about. It looks like the current resident and administration is putting out bids for concentration detention camps throughout the United States. You may think this is crazy, but I've known that this was the plan and this has been happening for a long time. While Obama was in the White House, I watched in real time as he made moves to set up the United States to be taken down once Hillary Clinton got into office. The things that he did was, one of the things he did was he pulled Apache attack helicopters away from all the state militias and put them under federal control. What that does is if, state militias are allowed to protect themselves, but what that does is if he takes them all away, that does not allow states to be able to defend themselves from attacking tanks or anti-personnel carriers as well. So there you go. That was the first thing that he did. Another thing that he did was he authorized drone strikes in America with an executive order. He said that in case because of terrorist activity, he needed to be able to authorize drone strikes in America, and there was no terrorist activity during his watch, or before or since, to have this written in. Basically, the plan was to authorize drone strikes to make it legal, so anyone that was considered a terrorist could then be legally drone striked. Everyone knows that his favorite thing was drone strikes. They were drone striking Afghanistan, everybody. They found out that many of these drone strikes were on civilians. So it looked like they were using the war to push through some other agenda where they were also taking out potential political opponents. They did it in Afghanistan. If other people wanted to, start a government or whatever that Obama and them didn't sanction, that they would drone strike them and call them Taliban, even though they may not have been part of Taliban. They may have been part of something else. It's well known that Obama used drone strikes a lot in Afghanistan, and that there was a lot of reporting that a lot of civilians were being wiped out this way. But think about this. He was saying that, in case anyone named a terrorist in the United States could be drone struck. Well, think about this. Recently, the Department of Justice named all the PTA parents that went to these PTA meetings to complain and show their disgust with the local education boards that were showing their children potentially explicit material. The DOJ named them as terrorists. So think about that. Once you write in a drone strike executive order for terrorists, you can call anybody a terrorist, and now you are legally allowed to drone strike them. The problem with drones is they're not, anybody can operate a drone. You can have somebody in Saudi Arabia or Iraq operating these drones across the world, and they don't care if they're Americans. If they're American people, there's a chance that, they won't want to drone their own people. That's the problem with drones, is anybody can use them to take out people that they show in a dissidence. So what we're seeing is that's two examples of Obama setting up for when Hillary got in to be able to take over the United States. They were going to take away the militia's ability to defend themselves. They were going to authorize drone strikes, drones in which anybody could operate. And the third thing that they did was very nefarious, was called the Jade Helm 15 exercises, what was, and I was watching this in real time as this was happening. Each one of these things happened, tick, tick, tick. I saw it coming. I saw it in real time. I knew what was coming, and I was very, very concerned for when Hillary got in 2016. In the summer of 2015, just a year and a half before the 2016 elections, in which Hillary was supposed to come in and set up all Americans for this stuff, Jade Helm exercise was an exercise that was held, I believe, in 6 states. It was Texas, Nevada, Arizona, and it was so nefarious that Governor Abbott of Texas had told his military guys to watch these exercises that were going on because they were nefarious. What was happening was they were using U.S. troops in these states to pretend that some states were revolting or whatever against the government, and another state was iffy, on the fence, and a third state in that area was for the United States. So we see with Governor Abbott, he's well informed as far as what the federal government is doing. I think Texas is one of the only states that is able to, just become its own country. It is its own country if it wants to be. It's got water, it's got ports to the Gulf of Mexico and therefore the world. It's the size of many countries. It's got a GDP higher than most countries. So I believe in its constitution, it's written that it can become its own state. And what we see here is Texas has been suing for the immigration thing. Biden's been allowing all the immigrants to just flow into Texas. So Texas is under attack right now, and Abbott is very aware of the federal government and what they've been trying to do. So he tasked his military, his National Guard, to watch these exercises. These exercises were in these states, and they were U.S. troops pretending to fight some type of insurgency, and they were using Walmart parking lots and Walmarts as detention centers. That way they could go into some big store and practice detention centers without actually making them. So all of these things were happening, and I saw that Obama was setting us up for this. But the most nefarious thing of this Jade Helm exercise was that AIs were being tested to run this. So yeah, that word. This is 2015. This was almost 9 years ago. Nobody was talking about AIs, and nobody knew that AIs were this advanced to be able to start doing this stuff. Some whistleblowers came out and said that this Jade Helm stuff was artificial intelligences running these exercises. So I don't know if you could put this all together, but what this is this. This is computers running exercises so they could take the generals out of the equation. Generals are not going to want to attack their own people. If you take them out of the equation, now you've got some computer giving the orders, and you've got drone coverage for this stuff. If these guys don't do these orders, then they drone whatever house they say is a terrorist, and they can also use it on forces that aren't doing as they're told. State militias and generals are not going to order strikes on their own people. So if you take them out of the equation, have computers run the exercises, now you've got drone coverage over this stuff. You got drones to where they can be flown by anybody, they don't have to be U.S. people. You see what Obama was setting Hillary Clinton up. And intelligence agencies have come out and said, yes, that's what it was. But Obama was setting it up. So when Hillary got in, these concentration camps would be put into effect. This whole thing that I told you about would have been instituted. The DOJ under Eric Holder, another Nazi FBI stormtrooper type like Merrill Garland, was pushing all this through, and Obama was also putting judges in. So then, look at this Judge Merchan thing that just happened. They totally made the whole thing up to get Trump, and that's what Obama's been doing as well. He's been setting up judges to just, rubber stamp everybody for whatever their thought crimes were and ship them off into concentration camps. So what we're seeing here is there's bids coming out under the resident Biden administration, where he is he's not the president. He was not legally. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I can't say any more because of YouTube. But so that makes this situation even more scary. That's why I voted for Bush in Bush. I've been doing a lot of reading. For Trump in I did vote for Bush in 2000, but that was before I knew everything that was going on. But Gore was probably no better. But anyway, I voted for Bush in 2016 because I saw these things happen, and I saw Barack Obama setting us up for this. And I knew that once Hillary got in, it was going to be bad. When I voted for Trump in 2016, I went to vote that day, and I just went home and went to bed because I knew that Hillary Clinton was going to win. I was extremely depressed. I knew it was all coming, and I knew that Trump didn't have a chance because I knew that the voting machines had been messed with. And so I went to bed that night and woke up the next day, and I didn't even check the results because I knew that Hillary had won. I got dressed, I went to the airport, I was going on vacation to Las Vegas, and I went to the airport and everybody was acting weird. It was so weird. I didn't understand what was going on at first. Everybody was really quiet. Everybody was looking over at each other, looking around. I went into the Dunkin' Donuts to order some donuts, and the African-American girl behind the counter would not serve me. I didn't know what was going on. It was weird. Then I heard people whispering about blue states and red states, and I didn't know what was going on. I think I might have heard somebody say that Trump had won, but I didn't believe it. And then I walked by the newspapers and I saw that Trump had won, and I just could not believe it because I had known that the fix was in. And so I went to Vegas and spent a week there, but I pretty much just watched television the whole time I was there because I couldn't believe what was happening. So what we found out was the NSA helped Trump in certain situations. And go check out my other videos. I talk about this. They leveled the playing field for him to get in and stopped all this from happening. So now we've got the Biden resident attempting to do this as well. I've been sent this video and told that these concentration camps are being bid for on federal bid websites throughout the 50 states. So let's check into it. Please subscribe.
Well, we have a saying on this show that conspiracy theories are just 6-month spoiler alerts for what's to come. And there's no shame in raising these questions. So here's one for you. With over 30 million, upwards of 43 million illegal immigrants that have poured across the border during Biden's presidency. And the federal government is building massive facilities that can sleep tens of thousands of individuals all across the country. You probably haven't heard about these large facilities, have you? Well, why are they being built? Who are they for? We might finally have an answer. Listen.
It's not for these illegals, especially let's go off the numbers that they're telling us that there really are. They're saying, 11 million? In reality, I can tell you right now, with talking to all of the agents that I've talked to, private sector, looking at the cameras and all the real data, we're over 30 plus million who've actually entered this country.
Yep.
And so even with that, even though that's enough to replace about 36 states population, why would they need to continue to do that if they're trying to absorb these guys, make them productive members of our society, get them into housing, because we know that there are already housing projects being coordinated with builders, again, with our money. I believe it's to kind of like what Nazis did with the Jews, concentration camps, processing facilities. They're going to need somewhere to process the dissidents.
So it's not for illegal immigrants. Who is it for? Dissidents? We're going to unpack this with former 24-year veteran of the Customs and Border Protection, J.J. Carroll, who did this interview as part of his new documentary, Treason, scouring the country right now. And you just keep bringing unbelievable revelation after unbelievable revelation as part of this story. And I think, again, most Americans have no idea what is going on, and it's being absolutely kept from the American people right now. And JJ joins us once again here on the show. Great to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. And thank you for talking about this documentary, because as I travel the nation, I have a very I believe I'm an expert on this topic. However, when you talk to people, and I have interviewed multiple people from all different levels of ability to get intelligence gathering data, it's fascinating to me and shocking at the same time when I speak to people that are very compartmentalized, meaning they focus on child sex trafficking. They talk about the gang members. They talk about facilities, and you get deep in that rabbit hole. Really, it's a rabbit hole. You're like, I didn't know it was this deep. I didn't know it was this broad. I didn't know it was this malicious. And you played this clip from someone I interviewed this past weekend. Her name is Christy Hutcherson, and she runs an organization called Women Fighting for America. But her background was federal contracting, and more specifically, abroad, but specifically, she worked on forward operation bases, FOBs, in military war zones, where she would put up these giant soft-sided facilities, water, food, et cetera, et cetera. So we're talking tens of millions, if not billions of dollars, right, that have transferred from her company, which she no longer is a part of, but she has access to all the bid contracts. So I'm interviewing her, and like I said, I have a very good understanding of what the hell's going on in America under this immigration invasion. But when I speak to people that are very dialed in on very specific areas, I'm shocked. And she tells me, and I didn't know this because I don't have access to it. She has access to the federal database where you can go on a website and there are endless bids for contracts from whatever. But she's focusing in on, she says to me, there's bids for detention facilities being built in all 50 states in America. And I said, okay, hold on a second. Say that again. She says, okay, I can go into a database because my company used to bid on all this. And I bid overseas, international contracts. Very, very intelligent woman, very, very connected. And she says, I go in the database, JJ, and there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? Are they built for all the illegal aliens or the unaccompanied alien children? Of course not. And she has a point, right? Because
you would think, right? So that's where I was confused. I would have thought, okay, they're building all of these detention facilities across the United States for a purpose, illegal immigrants. But no, right? Because as your data has suggested, most of these ICE facilities, right? Can you talk about that, are completely empty?
Yes. Well, they are completely empty. I talked to my buddies in Texas and in San Diego, and I talked to my ICE supervisors, and they tell me, JJ, they're empty. So you're talking anywhere from 30 to 40,000 beds across America, mainly on the southern border, right, are empty. Well, why are they empty? Because we have massive catch and release. Let me explain what this looks like. In the old days, right? The old days, Clayton, 3.5 years ago, not 30 years ago, when I got someone that was special interest alien, deported felon, whatever, I didn't release them. I sent them to an ICE holding facility, and they went and they waited there a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it was, to go in front of the judge, find deported, or found to be guilty of reentering as a felon. Then they spent time in federal prison, and then they would be deported. So we had all this bed space. But now, if I get someone that's a deported felon, I know this is going to be hard for people to believe. I arrest someone that's a deported felon now, I'm releasing them. I'm releasing them on the street. So you go from arresting people 3 years ago, setting up for deportation and prosecution, goes to, we call it a camp space in an ICE facility, and then that individual goes through the court system and then is ultimately deported after he or she serves her time. Not now. Everyone gets arrested by the Border Patrol. They quickly vet them, and then release them. Just release them. We just had 8, I'm going to mispronounce it, Kyrgyzstanians, 8 of them that crossed the border, were vetted, and released. Now we find out they were actually ISIS terrorists. ICE had to go find them. All 8 of them, I believe, entered together, but all 8 of them didn't stay together. They went to Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and New York. So what Ms. Hutcherson is saying is, in coordination with what I know, is you have 40,000 beds. Why would you need more? Mayorkas continues to go in front of Congress and demanding, I need more money for ICE beds. And they say to him, sir, you have no one in them. I'll give you an example. San Diego sector has like a 2,000 bed, soft-sided, hard-sided facility. The last I checked was 6 people in there.
People
6.
better wake up. People better wake up. I mean, he's
okay,
before
Clay,
Congress. He's sitting before Congress demanding more money from Congress to build more beds. And they've been built, and they're all empty. They're all empty.
Yes.
I mean,
because we don't hold people anymore.
It's a good thing your documentary is called Treason, because this is treason. I mean, this is exactly what this is. What money does he need? And then what are these detention facilities being built for, as she was talking about, in all 50 states? I mean, we're talking millions of beds across the United States. For whom?
Yeah, well, and she says in this interview, they're for dissidents, American dissidents. And she's right, because I know how that sounds, Clayton. I know when I say this out loud, like you and I talked about this before, I have an inner voice and I'm like, oh God, I got to say this out loud. But it's true. So if I'm telling you that our federal government is building detention facilities across America, and therefore people that dissent, meaning people that don't want vaccines, people that are J6ers, people that are creating militias, and you go, oh, JJ, you're insane. And I push back to you. Let's go back 20 years to present day. Are you telling me this is more insane right now, what I'm talking about, than if I told you prior to 9/11, someone's going to fly planes into a building, they're going to fall down, no one's going to believe it, then we're going to use weapons of mass destruction, we're going to go into the Middle East, we're going to be in a war for over 20 years, we're going to spend $4 trillion, thousands of men and women are going to die, American soldiers, tens of thousands are going to be brutalized in their brain and physically destroyed with limbs and burns. The government's going to create a bioweapon. Our government with China is going to release it onto America and the world. Then they're going to lie to us and not tell us where it went. Then they're going to make us wear masks, stand 6 feet apart. They make this out of whole cloth. Then they're going to admit to it. And then they're going to force us all to get vaccines. And millions of people are dying or being injured by that vaccine. Then I'm going to use another one. I'm going to go in front of Congress. I'm going to tell you that the border's secure, as video of millions of people are coming across. I just laid out 3 insane scenarios, and you're telling me that this is more crazy than those 3 that I told you?
I mean, JJ, you're nowhere near as crazy as I am. I could give you a list of 20 right now that we cover on our show.
Yes.
You want to go back to the Oklahoma City bombing? I mean, I could go on and on and on for the level of lies that our government has told us and put forth a public narrative, and behind the scenes, they're crafting something incredibly nefarious right now. I mean, it doesn't sound crazy to me at all. And I think you have large militias that are coming together across the United States right now who are preparing. I mean, we've been covering this on the show. I mean, we're talking 80, 100,000 Americans who are preparing right now for what's coming. So they're building these large facilities. Can you speak to some of the specifics of these facilities, and who's facilitating this? Is this Department of Homeland Security? Is it Department of Defense? Is it NGOs with the help of with Mayorkas at the Department of Homeland Security? How is this coming together? What do these facilities look like?
I think they're going to look like just the facilities that we're seeing where the children are being held in, those FEMA camps. That's what they're building. They're building FEMA camps. The way she explained it to me was like the way she set up, her company would set up forward operation bases in military zones where they would go in, barbed wire fences, soft-sided, those big white tents that come across. We see the videos. We see it in Hollywood movies where you can put 5, 10, 15,000 people in and just jam them into quarters. And
I should point out, to your point, she's not making this up. This was her job, and she's seeing the bids coming through in the contracts. So this is not fantasy.
No, this is not. This might happen. This is happening. Now we come to the crossroads. Do you believe that your federal government has your best interest? It's simple as that. Do you believe our government is malicious and nefarious? Look what they're doing to January 6ers. Look at that. But think of it on a massive scale. We don't have to go back far in history. They interned Japanese Americans in camps. So you're telling me this government, the government that's been lying to you for decades, is now all going to be kumbaya and they found God and they're going to do righteous things? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They locked you in your houses for months on some BS COVID stuff, right? COVID was real, but they locked you in your houses. What happens when we rise up and go, I'm not staying in my houses? Oh, you're not? National Guard, martial law, round them up. So I have a woman that I think is highly intelligent, very, very successful, has made a lot of money in her business, and now is devoting her life to fighting the federal government and exposing the truth. And she's telling me, JJ, this is for dissidents. When I talk to experts and then I fact check that expert and I talk to other experts and they validate, I cannot logically listen to someone like that and then dismiss her. No. You don't know what you're talking about. No, she obviously knows what the hell she's talking about, Clayton. Look, the more I...
Wow. People better start waking up to this. This is crazy stuff. So I took some notes while we were watching this. So he's saying that right now, if he says the bids are in for these, it's going through. They're not for immigrants because they're on a catch and release program. The beds that have been made for immigrants are all open. There's nobody in a lot of these areas. There's nobody there. And what we see is Governor Abbott. Just imagine, Texas would be overrun with these things, but Governor Abbott, he's on top of what the federal government is up to. Like I said, back in 2015, he was not happy about this Jade Helm thing, so he knows what's going on. He knows that Texas is under attack. I've got another video coming up here soon where we talk about directed energy weapons that are being directed at Texas and other things that are happening, the immigrant invasion. This Governor Abbott guy, he knows what's up, and so he's sending these people to other cities to wake these people up as well. So we know that these places aren't being built for immigrants because they're just catching and releasing them. What we're seeing here is a replacement. They want to replace us. They want everybody from all these other countries to come in. They want to replace patriots, put these other guys in business and other things too, and then have a one-party government. There's a video that Elon Musk has been putting out recently showing that this is the situation. So he also said, okay, so vaccines, that was another thing. So Obama was supposed to set this up, and then Hillary was going to knock them all down, and then there was going to be some type of nuclear event that happened, and I'll talk about it in my next videos. In my next videos, I'm going to talk about the nuclear event that was supposed to happen and how it was thwarted, and I'm going to talk about directed energy weapons that were used, that are being used on Texas and Maui. So we see that we're being under attack, and things are happening to corral us into a certain situation. But he mentioned vaccines. So that was the next thing. On top of everything else that happened, there was an outbreak that was supposed to happen, and Trump thwarted that. And he's absolutely right. They could drop another one with the help of a certain communist nation with 1 billion people. Drop another one, and if you don't want to take the vaccine, then you get put in a camp. And we see that there's a lot of problems with those vaccines. So so I had mentioned that in the original deal, the UN was supposed to come in. States weren't going to be able to defend themselves, but now we see that I'm going to do another episode in the future talking about a bunch of UN soldiers and Chinese soldiers that are coming into America through the border. Because go check out my short. It looks like Sleepy Joe is a Chinese agent. So he mentions J6ers. Look what they're doing. So these J6er people, they yanked them. They've got no trial, and they're just sitting there. And that would be us. And If there was going to be any trials, there were going to be the Judge Mershans of the world convicting us in kangaroo courts, or they would just round us up and throw us in concentration camps until the end of time. So yeah, and let me tell you another scary thing. So I saw this all happen in real time. I saw Obama take the Apaches away from state militias. I saw him authorize drone strikes, and I saw him run the Jade Helm exercises. If you go on the internet right now, you're not going to find any of this. It's all been scrubbed. It's all been memory hold. There are some things that you'll be able to find on the internet. One of the things is going to be like Wikipedia. Jade Helm 15 conspiracy theories. It says the Jade Helm conspiracy theories were issued on the James held military training exercises. The exercise, which involved 1,200 personnel from the 5 branches of the U.S. military, was designed to train soldiers in skills needed to operate in overseas combat environments. No, these were more like U.S. urban warfare type things, including maneuvering through civilian populations. See what they did there? The announcements of these training exercises raised concerns and generated conspiracy theories, mostly from Alex Jones. So you're not going to find any real news. Another one I found from the Texas Tribune: hysteria over Jade Helm exercise in Texas was fueled by Russians. Former CIA director says, here we go again with the Russian collusion, the Russian thing. Anytime they say it's Russian disinformation, that's them lying. Look at this title of this article: hysteria over Jade Helm exercise. Not concern, not bewilderment or wonderment, hysteria. The only things that you're going to find on the internet right now are things that are a negative against this. And this article goes on to say Governor Greg Abbott's decision in 2015 to ask the Texas State Guard to monitor a federal military exercise prompted significant criticism. No, it didn't. I'm not criticizing it. A former CIA director said Wednesday that the move emboldened Russians to next target elections. Lies. By the way, this article says that the former CIA director was also the head of the NSA. We know who that is. That's Michael Hayden. Michael Hayden and clap on, clap off. I hope he's got the clapper. These guys are the ones that told us that the Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. We're finding out it's real. That this is the election was Russian interference. That's not real. That Trump is a Russian agent. He's not. It's the other way around. Sleepy Joe is a Chinese agent. On and on and on. They lie with this Russian disinformation stuff. And that's what they say whenever they are lying. So there you go. What I'm saying is this. What I'm getting at is this. If you go to try to look this stuff up, you're not going to be able to find it. I looked and looked and looked. It's all been scrubbed. A few years ago, I looked, and there was stuff about Obama writing this executive order. But now you can't even find that. And if you can't find anything about Jade Helm, it goes on about hysteria, conspiracy theories, Alex Jones. It doesn't mention once artificial intelligences. It uses no context. I just gave you context. Taking Apache helicopters away, calling people terrorists, PTA mothers and fathers who don't want sexual whatever taught to their kids, they're terrorists, and Jade Helm is running exercises, and it is artificial intelligences that are calling the shots. So there you go. If you would please like, share, and subscribe. Share. We've got to get the message out. We've got to let everybody else know what's going on, and it is not good. We need to get out there, and we need to vote. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, when I first saw Trump, I thought this was a publicity stunt when he first started campaigning. I thought he was just doing this to get some good press and maybe have some of his properties or whatever take off and all that kind of stuff. Then when he won, I knew something was going on, and there have been military intelligence groups out there that have come out and said that he is being helped, and there's evidence of that. Admiral Rogers of the NSA is known to have helped him. When the stormtroopers at the FBI, I don't even know what the German word for FBI is, Federalische Beruhisch Instituten. The stormtroopers over there were watching Trump's candidacy and trying to put Russian agents into his orbit so then they could pin this Russian collusion on him. And he came in and delayed this a few years, what they're trying to pull again. So it's time to wake up, America. I hope to see you again on the next Ultra Top Secret.